Welcome everyone to today's topic, Finding the Hidden Job Market. Today we're going to talk about what is the hidden job market, self-assessment, how do you write about your accomplishments, how to create a job targeting map, different ways to expand your network, and how do you reach out through direct mail and targeted mail. So, first question. Is there such a thing as a hidden job market? Everyone knows you can apply for a job on the internet, but guess what? 427,000 people apply to jobs on monster.com every week, and that doesn't count all the other websites, Indeed, Idealist, LinkedIn. But did you know that only 10 to 14% of those job seekers actually get a job through the internet? So how do people get jobs? 40% of job seekers get their jobs through networking, and 40% get their jobs through direct contact with a hiring manager. So what is the hidden job market? Unadvertised jobs that account for 80% of all hires, according to Forbes. So let's look at the numbers if you actually answer an ad online. Let's say 1,000 people see a job post online. 200 will begin the process of applying online. 100 people will actually complete the application. 75 of those will be screened out, either by the artificial intelligence system or a recruiter. Ultimately, 25 resumes will be seen by a hiring manager. 4 to 6 people will be invited in for an interview. 1 to 3 of them will be invited back for a final interview, and 1 person will be offered the job. 80% of the people who get job offers accept them. So, now what do we do about that? So, the hidden job market then are the jobs that are not posted. Therefore, how do you get there? You want to meet as many people in your field as possible so they get to know you, and then they think of you when they know there will be a job opening. A hiring manager knows months in advance that they will need to fill a position way before they put an advertisement on the web. They know they're going to fire someone. They know someone's going to quit. They know someone's going out on maternity leave. They know they're adding a position long before they write the job description and the ad appears. So, why do employers choose other alternatives? It's cheaper than listing jobs online via a paid service, and they feel they're more likely to get qualified applicants through their own employees. In some companies, they like you to refer applicants. They'll give you a bonus if you refer someone and that person is ultimately hired. There's also an opportunity for team building. And in many corporate cultures, think Google or Facebook, there's a lot of pride in the idea that a certain type of worker is succeeding in this type of workplace. And so there's a feeling of belonging, not just for the staff, but also for the hiring managers and the decision makers. So, how do you get started on finding this hidden job market? The first thing you need to do is look at yourself. You need to do a self-assessment. Start with 25 of your top accomplishments from school, from work, from summer jobs, from internships, from volunteer work, unpaid work, paid work. Then look at that list and pick out the top 7 stories, your top 7 accomplishments that you really feel good about. Rewrite them, refine them. What was the situation? What action did you take? What was the result? How did you feel about it? And by looking at those 7 stories and writing them up, you will begin to see that certain skills keep popping up again and again. Your best skills. Why? Because we enjoy doing things that we're good at. When we're good at something, we do more of it. So this is a way to start on your self-assessment. The other piece of it, of course, are the characteristics of your job environment. What kind of place do you like to work in? Do you want to work in a busy place, a quiet place? Do you want to work in an open area where there's just long desks and many people? Do you want to work in a place where you have your own cube? Do you want to work in a place where people have fun and they go out after work to the bar or to go play ping pong or they go bowling? You need to think about the kind of workplace that suits your personality and your needs. So, then, once you know what your accomplishments are, you need to put them everywhere. You're going to be using these accomplishments in everything you brand. That is, in your pitch, in your cover letter, in your resume, in your interview, and in the follow-up. So, how do we create this accomplishment list? Okay, you include a bulleted list. The accomplishments are going to appear in 2 places on your resume. 3 to 5 accomplishments are going to appear in the summary section, which is the first half of your first page. And then under each of your job titles, you will have accomplishments. The more recent jobs may have 5 or 6 accomplishments. The more distant jobs may have 2 or 3 accomplishments. And everyone will have to answer this question. What did you do? What was the problem? What did you do? Action did you take? And what was the result? The reason we spend so much time on accomplishments is these accomplishments will separate you and distinguish you from the rest of the folks out there who have the same job title. If you look at job descriptions, everyone who has that job title is going to have the same description, but they won't have the same accomplishments. Second part of your resume, the summary on the first half of the first page, is your skills. You can call this expertise, you could call it skills, you can call it competencies. That's fine. But you need to put it under a heading, and you need to use keywords. And those keywords are the kinds of words that you will see in job descriptions. These are the kinds of words that hiring managers and search firms will search for on the internet if they're looking for you. Or they will search for those if they're looking at your resume. Your skills should be in form of a verb: writing, analysis, supervising, team building, creating. All of the words in verb form that represent your top skills. 100% of human resource managers are going to LinkedIn now. So your LinkedIn profile also needs to show your accomplishments and your list of skills. How much time do you think an HR manager spends looking at your resume? 7 to 10 seconds. So if they don't see what they're looking for in those 7 to 10 seconds, they're going to toss your resume into this circular file, better known as the waste paper basket. So, again, why are we spending so much time on accomplishments when we're talking about the hidden job market? When are we going to get to the hidden job market? Well, the reason we're going to spend so much time on them, and you need to do this before you get ready to go out there, is those accomplishments should appear in your pitch, in your direct mail and targeted mail, in your cover letter, in your resume, during the interview, and in that influencing email, which a lot of people call the thank you, after the interview. So those are the reasons why we spend so much time on accomplishments before we get to, okay, now what about this hidden job market? So let me just show you a few examples. The accomplishments are based upon the P.A.R. approach: problem, action, result. Think of a problem you had to solve. Think of an action you took. And think of a result. And try to use numbers wherever you can, or percentages. Start every accomplishment with a verb, a strong verb: created, launched, wrote, developed, designed, built, planned. And then state your action and the result. So here are some examples. Reduce customer complaints by 22% in a 6-month period over an 8-state region. Exceeded annual sales quota over 15% for each year over 3 years. Saved over $200,000 by implementing a comprehensive cost reduction, productivity, and quality improvement program. Sometimes you can't use numbers or percents, but you try your best. Here are some examples of befores and afters. Here's a before. Successfully managed partnerships. Well, that's great, but so a lot of people do the same thing. Here's a better way to express that. Managed events with over 25 industry associations and achieved a 60% increase in strategic partnerships. The number 25 and the percent 60 really differentiates this person from the next person who's done the same type of job. Here's another example. Developed and published metrics to increase call center productivity. Well, what were the metrics and what was the increase? So here's a better way to say it. Developed metrics which were posted daily within the first month, productivity increased 33% and call length dropped 15%. Once again, the use of percentages is very important. And here's a third one. Led team of 10 staff people to design a conference. Okay, but then so what? What was the result? Led a team of 10 to design and implement the first India Oil and Gas Conference, resulting in 150 attendees. What did you do? And what was the result? Okay, so when you want to find the hidden job market, you need to figure out what your job target is. And what is a job target? A job target consists of 3 things: an industry you want to work in, a position that you're looking for, and a geographic location. You have to figure that out. Now, you can decide to look for a job in several different places. That's okay. It could be the same job title but in different locations. That's all right. Or the same job title in different industries. That's okay. So you're going to create your job target map. And it's not really a map. Really, it's an Excel spreadsheet. And on this Excel spreadsheet, you're going to select the 2 or 3 industries where you want to work, and you're going to make a list of all the companies, organizations, foundations, institutions where you would like to work. That doesn't mean there is an opening. What that means is you're looking for 200 positions. So if you were looking for a bank teller position, well, banks have 20, 30, 40 tellers. You wouldn't need too many banks. You'd need maybe 10 to 20 banks. But if you're looking for a CFO position, well, most companies only have one CFO. So in order to get 200 positions, you're going to need a list of 200 companies. If you're going for a mid-level management position, whether it's in marketing, data analysis, IT, think about it. How many mid-level managers are in each company? 2, 3, 4, 10? Again, you will need to try to come up with 200 positions. Then you're going to research each company to find out the name and title of a person 2 levels above you. And you're going to write directly to that person. So you're going to write to them. You're going to tell them who you are. You're going to say, I'm really interested in your company. I'd like to have 15 minutes of your time. We're going to get into that in more detail in a moment. So, networking. Networking is another way to find the hidden job market. Who's in your network? Basically, everyone you know is in your network. Your friends, your family, coworkers, former supervisors, your personal accountant, lawyer, hairdresser, trainer, dog walker, Pilates expert, yoga teacher, acupuncturist, you name it. You need to create another Excel spreadsheet with the names and email address of everyone you know, because you're going to be contacting them to find out who they know, whom they can introduce you to. Perhaps they know someone who works in one of those companies on your list. How else are you going to expand your network? Okay. Here are 5 tried and true ways to expand your network. Join a professional association. If you're in finance, it could be the New York Society of Security Analysts or the Financial Women's Association or 80 Broads. There's many organizations depending on your profession. Join your alumni association. All the people who went to your college or your graduate school are there for you to find out about and connect. Join a club that reflects your personal interests. Maybe you like to hike. Maybe you like to go biking. Maybe you like to play golf. Maybe you like to knit. Whatever it is, there is a club. Again, you'll be meeting more people. Or maybe you belong to a book club. Do volunteer work for a cause that you're passionate about, because that expands the number of people whom you know who care about the same things that you care about. So that's something you have in common, and you build relationships with those people, and they can introduce you to people in their network. And another thing is to join a civic or religious organization, whatever it is, a temple, a church, a mosque, a chamber of commerce, Kiwanis, the Elks, you name it. The object is to expand the group of people that you know now to more people so that they can introduce you to more people. Then you have to follow up. It's not enough to just go to a meeting or a networking event and shake hands with someone and give them your business card. You really need to follow up with an email. Pleasure to meet you. As I mentioned, these are my skills. I'd like to stay in touch. Could we meet for coffee? You do want to stay in touch with people, and that means sending emails every 4 to 6 weeks, having a coffee every once in a while. It's extremely important to stay in touch. Now, so direct contact. The way to the hidden job market, aside from networking with your primary contacts, your secondary contacts, is to get meetings. So you want to write directly to a hiring manager at one of those 200 companies that you've listed on your job target. And you follow up with an email, and then you follow it up with a phone call. Now, what do you say in this email? Okay, you're writing an email to a specific person. That person is not the HR department. I'm interested in your company. I'm looking for your career advice. I have 10 years experience in financial analysis. Here are some things I've accomplished. I'd welcome the opportunity to meet with you. Now, if you send this out to 100 or 200 people, you won't be able to call them. But if you send a similar email, and then in the last paragraph you say, I shall call you in a day or two to set up a meeting, then you can call. So you pick your A list of companies, top 10 companies, and you follow up your email with that phone call. And it may take several phone calls to get to the person to whom you wrote. Don't leave a message. Find out when the person will be back in the office. Sometimes you need to try before 9 o'clock in the morning or after 5 p.m. If you get the person's assistant, you said, oh, this is about an email I sent to Mr. So-and-so. He's expecting my call, or she's expecting my call. When can I expect to speak with them? And then you take the meeting. Let's say you get this meeting, whether it's by phone or live. You say, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. You give your pitch. I'm doing research. I'd love to learn more about your company. And you can ask them some questions. What are the challenges you're facing? Tell me about your career path. And then you get to talk about your accomplishments that relate to this company in this industry. And then at the end of the meeting, you can show them your targeted list. Do you know anyone who works at these companies? Could you please introduce me to that person? Can you think of any other companies I should be adding to my list? Thank you so much for your time. You shake hands, you say goodbye, and then you follow up. And again, people are always saying, oh, it's a thank you. It's more than a thank you. Yes, it's very important to say thank you to someone. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I really enjoyed talking to you about the challenges you face in your company. As I mentioned, my skills are in such and such. I will stay in touch. If you hear of any openings, please keep me in mind. And the object is to stay in touch every 4 to 6 weeks. You don't want to spam them. You don't want to keep calling. However, you do want to stay in touch so that in the event that something opens up, they will keep you in mind. That's the whole point. Because openings happen every 3 months, every 6 months, depending on the field. And so if you don't keep your name on top of things, they won't remember you. It's your job to stay in touch with a bit of information you learned, a webinar you went to, an article that you read, a new book that you read, something that you've learned that would be of interest to this person, so that when you contact them, you have something new to add. Okay, so we've talked about accomplishments, we've talked about targeted emails, we've talked about getting the meetings, and how to follow up to the meetings. So now I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Amy. I'll remind everyone, if you have a question, you can use the chat box or you can email info@savvyladies.org. And we had a question for you. It came in during your presentation, and it's, my job target map would be pretty expansive. I have a lot of industries I would like to work in and a lot of companies I would like to work for. Is it best to keep it somewhat narrow, or can I have more than 200 position options?
Well, that's a very good question. You want to have at least 200 position options. Now, if your job title has the only one in each company, then yes, you're going to need at least 200 companies, if not more. If your job title is one of 2 or 3 in each company, then you don't need as many companies. You may want to narrow your industry, because based upon previous experience, you may want to narrow it to 2 industries or 3 industries, because they're going to want to know, did you work in this industry? What experience do you have in the industry? And you'll be better served by concentrating on 1 or 2 industries, at most 3.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And another question we have is, do you think it's still worth it to apply to jobs online, especially as you're building up your network?
Yes. So this is how you can apply to jobs online. When you apply online, you also need to research the name of the person to whom you think this position would be reporting. Again, it's got to be a job title 1 or 2 levels above the title of the position. You need to get a real name of the person and a real email, not human resources. You send the same cover letter and resume that you put online to this person, separate, offline, from your own email account. Then you have a person that you can follow up with. Because answering ads online makes you feel good, but it goes into a black hole and there's no way to follow up, except with HR. And HR is there to screen you out, not to screen you in. So you do need to research and see if you can find the name of a real person in a position to hire you, and then write to them directly, as well as answering the ad.
Okay, thanks. Another question is, do you think people can tell when you're joining these organizations just to make connections? What's a good way to make some real connections?
Well, you join an organization and then you have to go to meetings and you have to join a committee. By joining a committee, you show that you have more of a commitment to the organization, and you can get to know the people who are on the committee, which is a smaller group of people, better. They see that you're passionate about the mission of the organization, and you have more time to spend with them by virtue of the fact you're on the committee. Just joining doesn't do anything.
Okay. Another question we just had is, I'm in the process of a career change. Does this hidden market search work for career changers? And how do I highlight my accomplishments when they are in another industry and I'm self-taught?
Okay. Yes, this strategy works for anybody, whether you're in the same career or a different career. What you have to do is pick out your top skills that relate to this new career, and you have to show how they're transferable. So if you're more specific, I can help you out. But the fact is, if you have writing skills, they can be used in a lot of places. If you have data analysis skills, they can be used in a lot of places. So you need to emphasize the fact that your skill set is transferable. Don't expect the person reading your resume to make that leap. You have to connect the dots.
Okay, thanks. And another question here is, I was laid off after 25 years at the same company. I decided to take a year off before looking for a job. how do I document that year on my resume?
Well, if you had told me this a year ago, I would have said you need to do some volunteering. You need to do some part-time work. Okay, you need to do some consulting. Um, if not, you can just put on your resume, consulting, and then figure out something. But I don't recommend lying on a resume. You really should have been doing something during that time, some kind of volunteer work, if not paid work.
Okay. And we had a question about cover letters, about how long they should be and what focus. So can you maybe talk a little bit more about cover letters?
Sure, good question. So a cover letter has four parts. One is who you are and what you're responding to, the ad you're responding to, your pitch. I have X years of experience in Y, and I can do the same for you. Then you put in 3 bullets of your accomplishments that are directly related to the job. And then you say, my background in, and pick 3 of the skill sets they're looking for. My background in promotion, marketing, and writing would make a great contribution to your company, and I look forward to meeting with you to further discuss the position. That's what you write. I mean, that's what a cover letter is. A cover letter has to be different for every single job you apply for because that cover letter has to be directly related to that job.
Okay. All right, well, those are the questions we have for now, and Amy's contact information is here, and we'll be sending this out. So I want to thank you, Amy, for a really great presentation, and thanks to everyone who joined us today and asked questions. Thanks so much, Amy.
Thank you. I loved it. This was great. If you want to get in contact with me, you have my email address and my phone number. I'd be happy to chat.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.